I feel for Miami, man. I feel for Miami. Seeing Tua Tagovailoa stand there, sitting on injured reserve, knowing that there's, a potentially uncertain future for him, right? Also knowing that there's 2 more games they're going to have to play without him because they injured reserved him in case he does want to play again. And I think he does. He looks like a guy who's with it. He does look like a guy who's eager to come back. He went with the team to Seattle last week. And you just see how this offense is so struggling without him. The Dolphins are now the first team since the 2017 Browns to never lead through their first 4 games of the season. The 2017 Browns finished 0-16, I might add.
This from the beginning, from preseason, when he put in, we're going to start our meetings at 24 after. You remember this?
Yes, I do, yeah.
Like, as a player, the first thing I would be is like, you got to be kidding me.
It wasn't 24 because the last time
it's 24 years since they
right.
won a playoff game.
Yeah.
So we're going to start all our meetings at 24
That's
after.
clever.
I'd be like, what are we, children? Like,
Yeah.
stop it.
Yeah.
Stop it with that.
Year or two. Did Mike McDaniel make Tua? Mm-hmm. Did Tua make Mike McDaniel?
Well, it's clearly a symbiotic relationship. It's benefited both of them, and we see that based on the contract extensions that the organization gave him this offseason. I would say this. I think Mike McDaniel is a good head coach, even without Tua. I do. Where I think it's fair to criticize Mike McDaniel and the front office for the Miami Dolphins is for not having a better plan for backup quarterback.
Late in last night's game, you might have noticed Tyreek Hill visibly upset with the way the game had gone, and for good reason. Things have not been, and see, he knows what to do. He's not talking to Mike McDaniel. He's talking behind him closely enough that McDaniel can hear him. See that? That's a smart move. That's a veteran move. I'm not going to go up and get in the coach's face, but I'm going to get just behind him so he knows I'm upset, Michael. And, look, this is not what the Dolphins expected. And all the concerns we articulated earlier in the show, not having a competent backup behind Tua, somebody who can come in and run the same offense. Tyreek's got to be thinking those things. The players have to be thinking those things. What are our leaders doing? We know we got a guy who's had concussions. How do we not have a better backup quarterback? Who in the hell is responsible for this mess? All due respect to Skylar Thompson and Snoop Huntley and Tim Boyle, we needed better if we were going to win games without Tua. So I can understand why he's upset.
The situation with the Dolphins quarterback, it is bad and getting worse. And once again, I said this before, it's really inexcusable if you are going to take a risk on Tua Tagovailoa. And I've said all along it was a risk. You're a playoff team. You were going to go all in on your quarterback. But you must have a legitimate, decent quarterback who can run your system. You have to have a backup quarterback. You can't be getting somebody off a practice squad.
I want to frame this appropriately because obviously if Kansas City doesn't have Mahomes, they're not the same football team. But I am baffled why the Miami offense without Tua, who doesn't have superhuman arm talent, why the offense doesn't look like something similar to what they do. Those quick reads. They threw that one to Tyreek across the middle, and I felt like you all are in the booth. They're like, hallelujah. I just don't get it. What are they doing?
You have that immediate visceral reaction, and so many people watch it and they say, oh my goodness, he should never play again. And then a little time goes by and he gets whatever it is he hears from his doctors. I mean, clearly my position is and always has been, this is his decision to make with his family and all the rest of that. Sure. But it sounds like that decision has been made.
No reason to rush back, though, because it doesn't look like this team is very good with or without Tua, honestly. And before he got hurt, they were struggling against the Bills. So I'm not sure that this team has playoff aspirations depending on whether he shows up or not.
Well, last week was a very rough week. Another game, another huge loss for the Dolphins. They started that only just 2 weeks after arriving in Miami. Again, the Dolphins looked undisciplined, weak, and at times even tired. I want to start with Steve. Steve, it was certainly disappointing, but I want to know your thoughts. What do you think? Did the Dolphins basically, there was a lot of criticism about how the Dolphins attack their how they prepare themselves during training camp. The compared to other teams, we're going to talk a little bit more when I show us what David had to say. But the Dolphins, is the soft mantra, the soft label has stuck with them, and they're not doing any favors by the way they're playing right now, Steve.
I didn't hear anything about soft stuff until Poyer stood up at the podium in the offseason and talked about Buffalo's viewpoint of Miami. They, and clearly he was saying other teams felt it, that once Miami got hit down or pushed up against the ropes too hard, that they weren't going to be able to hit back. They went down on the canvas and they weren't going to get up at the 10 count. They were going to stay down, or they were just going to stumble through the rest of it. But we saw that last year. And we fans last year were the beneficiaries of that fast, agile, the quick surprise, the quick strike, tons of touchdowns, tons of yards. I loved it. I miss it. But the reality is, going in with an undersized center in a league where you have how the Bills got absolutely mauled on Sunday Night Football by the Ravens. Derrick Henry ran all over them. We don't have that ability. Do we have the ability to run long distances? Yes. But do we have the ability to open up holes? Absolutely. Did some holes maybe open up last night and Achane just simply missed it because he was trying to run outside? Yeah, that happened. But everything leading up to that point, it wasn't working. So is the team soft? I think it was week 2 against Buffalo that Tyreek went out of the game, and they I think I was just looking for a reason to wonder what the heck was going on, and it looked like Tyreek was gassed. Something I didn't see until late in the season last year, or late in the game after Tyreek just put up a ton of yards and a bunch of touchdowns, and I'm like, yeah, he should be tired. It was at a point in the game where I'm like, he shouldn't be that tired, and I saw it last night again. Yes. And I'm noticing it with Waddle. So I'm really wondering, and I know I think you have plans to show that clip and everything from the day that I had Chris Perkins thing. You really have to wonder, are they being coached way too easily and they're not building up that stamina that they need? So you're compounding not enough stamina with not enough size, and it's a very bad combination in a league of people who are built for that.
Absolutely. Jason, there was a lot of criticism last year about the Dolphins being soft. The Dolphins, my expectation was that bringing some like Elias Campbell, a leader, they were really tough. The defense, certainly, they're giving it their all. Just sometimes, so I have to wonder how conditioned they are. But it's the offense. I can understand for my life why Waddle and Tyreek had to run a sprint and they take themselves out of the game for the next play. I saw a stat like Tyreek has played 72% of the offense. So, I don't know. The Dolphins, the soft mantra is not going to go away, and you're going to show a clip about Dave Hayes saying how the league sees the Dolphins. But I want to hear yourself too. What do you think about the Dolphins mantra, the Dolphins being soft and not be prepared for the season, Jason?
Yeah, Poyer mentioned it when he came on in the offseason. I think in the summer, he was really saying it to South Florida media. You don't have to say it to see it. It's the last several years, there's been that on the road, in tough spots, that more often than not, it's a fold. And am I calling the Dolphins soft? I'm not calling them tough-nosed, minded team, So by definition, yeah, right now they are a soft team. And it goes back to what I'm saying a couple minutes ago. Just stop them on that last play. Like, who wants to get scored on the last second when you're at home, already lost? Just have some pride. And I just think that there's a give-up mentality, a little throughout last night. And as much as the defense was playing well, at some point, everyone just did that. So until proven otherwise, yeah, it's soft. Until McDaniel can fix things and literally show that he's going to win the right challenge, make the right calls, fool somebody. Like, there's been nothing creative. There's been different kind of movements from hanging off or faking or doing this, but there's been nothing like creative that's effective with this change, and if it's going to be Snoop Hundley, which it looks like it is going into New England, you can't mimic Tua. You just can't, and you can't just simplify, come up with something and install, right? We're going to install today. We're going to install something new today. Install 9 plays. Remember the Titans and Denzel Washington? It's like Novocaine. Just give it time and it'll work. All right? Run the ball. Yes. Figure out a pattern. You're going up against a rookie head coach. Mike McDaniel, you're going up against a rookie head coach. Okay? You're going up against a rookie head coach. So if you're going to get beat again, Monday was a rookie head coach. It was Brian Callahan's kid. He had a head coach. His father's the offensive line coach. Think about that. Mike McDaniel lost to him.
We're going against another rookie head coach next week, so
I'm
that's
all about
going to be interesting.
Right?
Sherry,
Callahan, was that his first head coaching job?
Which one?
Callahan was Titans coach.
Yeah. I was thinking about the father or the son. Yes, it was the first.
Yeah.
No, because the father was the Raiders.
Yeah. Yes. No, it's great that he got that family camaraderie on the sidelines. Love that. My point is
actually, that's a great point. Why Mike McDaniel doesn't have an elderly?
When was the last time a head coach lost to 2 rookie head coaches? That's what I want to find out.
Yeah,
last
absolutely.
night.
Now you soon will.
Please go ahead, Sherry. What are your thoughts about that? The whole Dolphins soft fiasco.
Well, in your vignette, one of the reporters or one of the people said, "No disrespect to Skylar Thompson and Tim Boyle and Snoop Huntley, but that just means someone's about to get disrespected." If I think of soft, I don't only think of physicality. I don't only think of being soft. Saying Tyreek and Waddle pulling themselves out, and that's where I'm going. It doesn't have to be that they're physically tired. They're mentally exhausted. They do this day in and day out, and they see that there's not Tua back there. They know it isn't going to be. Last year, I had that faith that I haven't had in years, where if we were behind, I 110% believed we could come back. And that has been missing for a very long time, and it's back again. That feeling of knowing last night, we fell just a little behind again, and I thought, oh, here we go. Instead of last year, we're down a touchdown or two, and we knew it. We were still okay. And mentally, I think they're soft, and I think that's a big difference, because I almost feel like that's a little harder to fix, because you have to reprogram them now to have confidence and have faith. And it goes back to what I said in the last segment, unless there's consistency under center, and yes, an undersized center. Sorry, Chris Greer, we are not seeing things that you think are fine and we think are bad. They're bad. So you can be passive aggressive with the fans all day, but it's a fact. We are weak on that line. We don't have a quarterback back there who's going to be consistent right now. That gets in our own players' heads. We are mentally soft right now, and that's going to be hard to fix.
I mean, how big is Aaron Brewer? Jason?
6'1".
Anybody know?
6'1".
6'1". What's his?
He's not an overpowered huge.
He's not over 300 pounds. He's like
265.
Not huge.
He looks like
he's not huge.
No, and how Tavondre Sweat? Dude is a mountain.
Monster.
Yes.
He ate him alive. So you're taking everything that Sherry's talking about there. The back-to-back new quarterbacks. You're throwing them into a lose-lose situation. And you've set the stage with offensive linemen. Austin Jackson 2023 was an anomaly. That turnaround that he did was something else, because I was so cashed out on him. We don't have that Liam Eichenberg emergence, Austin Jackson 2.0 showing up this year. They have so many flaws in the undersized piece of it. So Sherry's dead on. We're dealing with elite athletes who are used to performing at an elite level, and the mental piece of them at some point has to check out, where Tyreek maybe is just saying, "No, I'm going to run my ass off, and I'm going to go for everything I possibly can here." But maybe he did cut back a little bit. Maybe if he had gone 110% that entire route he would have been underneath Huntley's overthrown pass. We don't know. But they're going to start mentally checking out, and I just hope it doesn't turn from soft to toxic.
For sure.
Absolutely. I want to go to it's too bad Matt's not here. I know how much he loves Dave Hyde, and you all know how much I love Chris Perkins. But yeah, let's see what I have to say, because I think they're down on this.
Well, let's stick with what she said. I agree with her. I mean, I watched this team training camp, and you know, a couple NFL people who I talk with watch, and they're like, they don't practice very hard. You know, they don't, and that's by design. I think that's what Mike how he's done it. You know, they say. You know, and you look at them, and they're doing things, and I'm not saying it was cutting edge stuff of where, okay, for better or worse, and you look at the performance, you can say worse. Players running, you know, before scrimmages, running assignments with no helmets. You'd see Washington in full pads. The Dolphins are wearing gym shorts, basically. You see the Falcons running sprints after practice. You see the Dolphins just walking off after practice. And these are just things I saw. And then you get into, you know, how hard, you know, reps. I asked Mike about it once, and he said, we don't run sprints because we want to do more reps. And that makes sense. But then I asked Teron Armstead about, or it wasn't Armstead. It was Calais Campbell. He's been around the league, several training camps. What do you think of this one at the end of training camp? And he goes, well, the word when I called around was that it was easy. It was easy here. Then he talked about we do a lot of reps. But the point being, the word around the league is it's easy at the Dolphins. And that's what she seemed to be saying, you know, backing that idea up. And I have to admit, by the way they're playing, it looks like they weren't ready for the season, or they're just not playing well.
Well, that's from Deep Dive with Chris Perkins, Dave Hyde. You know, Jason, I see you doing that face before I go to Steve. Take it away, my man.
I want to hear what Jason's got something brewing. I just want to catch it while he's ready.
Please go ahead.
I'm very glad that the working environment is so phenomenal. The concessions,
yes,
the air that is blown in, the oxygen. I'm so glad the slaughter is phenomenal.
Best cafeteria in the whole NFL.
That are paying for the product.
Yeah.
Top notch.
Yes,
top notch.
That's facilities. Superb.
I mean, key lime pie and creme brulee at every lunch. I mean, you can't. No, but like,
there's even a slide.
Fun to work for the Dolphins.
Yes,
it's clearly an easily employed scenario for the Dolphins players, and yeah, not a lot of taxes. It's good weather, easy training camp. Maybe that is what is kind of attracting some of these veterans to take less money because it's so easy. So when it asked me, it's like, what players are coming to win the Super Bowl or collect the money at the end? You know, This team signed 3 veterans like they were on a Super Bowl campaign, but we got rid of 9 players that helped them get to the point last year where they could have been a Super Bowl contender. You know what I mean? Like Calais Campbell, Jordan Poyer, Marcus May. I mean, these are not Odell Beckham Jr. It's like these are the kind of guys that should have signed with Kansas City to go on the Super Bowl campaign.
Mm-hmm.
But life might have been a lot easier in South Florida. And what the hell? What the
That's
hell?
a paradox.
You know? So, right. Exactly.
Because either they think it's easy, either they think it's great and they're coming because it's easy, or they're coming to win a Super Bowl. So which is it? Because it can't be both. If they're coming.
But there has to be a medium there.
Absolutely. Oh, I'm not disagreeing with you.
No, I love it. I love that you said that because it comes back to what we were talking about earlier, where it's like, yeah, one thing that the opposite, which is conflicting things are killing each other. But if you could get a happy medium, you know what? Maybe the problem is
we're coddling these guys too much. That's from Major League. I'm not saying go terribly on the, destroy the showers and the buses and the transportation. I'm not saying that, I'm saying forget, you know what? Do more wind sprints. Make practice more uncomfortable. Because you know what? Practices, you don't get to play perfect without practice. Perfect practice makes perfect, right?
Correct.
Hard practicing makes games easy. If you are complacent in practice, when are you going to have the actual repetition to say, damn, my back's against the wall? I mean, I played high school basketball. I didn't play football, but my coach came from a parochial Catholic college. And for us Long Island kids, it was different. Our practices were hard. Were very, very hard. Again, a different sport. I get it. But that was at least a mindset that I learned from that coach. Like, why would practice be easy? Right?
No,
you
want
to be dog tired after a practice.
You said basketball as soon as
you want to be exhausted after.
No, you're right, because our son is interested. No, you're fine. Our son is interested in playing basketball, and he's never played an organized sport like that in his life. And I'm taking him out, and I'm doing these things, and it's outside in at a park in Florida. Humidity's 80 degrees and all this different stuff, and it triggered in my head like when I was in middle school, when I was in high school playing basketball, and he's shooting, and it brought back memory of at the end of practice we would do suicide sprints. You go out like 10 feet back to the line, 20 feet, and you do the whole court, and then you do like 2 of those, and you would close practice by having to hit like 5 free throws. And you would be exhausted, but I realize now in my old age that I'm like, you're doing that because at the end of a game, you still have to have that composure, but you're also building up that endurance. And for pro athletes like this, I get it again. I say it all the time. We're schmucks. Old people sitting here criticizing the elite of the elite athletes in the world. But
Absolutely.
In golf, in professional sports, the people who do those, who pay attention to those little details, that perfect practice type detail can, I'm not guaranteeing it, but can be the difference when it comes down to that. And we don't know. We don't know what's really truly going on. All we're getting is a very coincidental release of, 2 people in the Miami sports media world releasing information when the team is just kind of down. That was last week. So they were down on a 2-game losing streak. But I do believe that there is something to it. I do believe that, hey, they're not pushing that envelope enough. Sherry, I'd go.
I want to take it one step further, and I might get some pushback on this, but we only have 3 preseason games now, and we're not playing our starters. So they're not even getting the practice game time in, and I understand you don't want to get people hurt. I understand that. Maybe they'll use that as an excuse in practice. It's 100 degrees, and they're going to get dehydrated. We're going to get people hurt. But you can't let that stop you from gelling as a team, and I think playing very, very limited snaps in preseason. And I'm not saying that our starters should play 3 full games, but it used to be that at least the 3rd game out of 4, your starters would play the first half, and it gives them time to gel together. If they're not going to play preseason together, if they're not going to practice hard, how can we expect anything but what we're seeing on the field right now?
Absolutely.
To expand on that, I think there's this fear of players getting hurt, fear of this, fear of that. Well, what if your players, you're bringing them in that are so easily prone to injury? That could be another problem, but you need repetition. And David Hyde said, yeah, they don't do sprints, they do repetition. But who's doing the repetition? Because when I was down there, I saw a lot of guys on the sidelines. I saw a lot of guys not doing repetitions, not in pads. They didn't come out in pads today. Oh, they weren't hitting today. A lot of people got upset about that, Like some people come to a prop, not in pads.
And whose fault? And whose fault is it for building a bubble? Whose fault is it for building a team of soft people? Whose fault is it for bringing in at the time a high-paid, decently high-paid, in my opinion, for his number of games per year performance, injury-prone left tackle who isn't going to be giving you more than 10.5 games a season, and hanging your hat on that. Yeah, they got a left-handed quarterback, so really the right tackle might be more important. No, I'm not buying it. So do you want to avoid injury with injury-prone people? Yes, possibly so. But I mean, so the last thing I want to say on this whole, are they, proven right and everything? As an adult, I finally gotten to the point in my life where I'm like, you know what? prove me right. If I've said something so many different times and I've tried everything I possibly can, prove me wrong. 2/3 of this team right now has me saying, prove me wrong. Because my mindset is you're showing me everything on a consistent basis. I don't want to be right here, but I'm right in those voices in the back of my head this offseason. And when I was curious about what we were doing with letting certain people go that we really, really should have retained for really not that much money, but we watched them go out the door and now they're performing at other teams. Prove me wrong is where I am. Prove me wrong by going out there and actually doing things the right way. It's a bad place to be because I don't want to be right. But prove me wrong here. Sherry?
Also, I wanted to say, too, Steve and I were talking earlier tonight. In 2 more games, Tua has the option to come back. Let's say that he does. I have opinions, not important. Let's say that he does. And let's say when he comes, all of a sudden, everybody's back and their mental acuity is wonderful and everybody's running their routes and we go on a tear and we win 7 straight games. And then Tua takes a hit and he's out. It's that point that they have built nothing behind that. So the season's over anyway. We have to get to a point where we have confidence that the people who are waiting in line to play are at least capable of carrying the team for a short period of time without folding like a house of cards, because it's a hard thing to do to watch. I love watching Tua play. I love the way he is quick release, how he's laser focused and how he generally gets the ball where it needs to be. But I also hate that every single time I'm going, oh, don't take the hit, slide, do this, because every game is a question of, is this going to be it for us this year? I want some confidence in the depth. I think that so mentally soft, depth wise soft. We just need more. Show me more than just one person standing back there carrying an entire team on his shoulders.
Absolutely. Any last thoughts, Jason, before I go to Steve for the closing thoughts?
Yeah, no, they just gotta shed this soft mentality. Practice hard to make game scenarios easier. At this point of the season, I don't know if that's going to be drastically changed. You know what I mean? So I don't know. I really am at a loss for words with this aspect and the coaching and the mentality. It's got to be different. It's got to be different. And to go on the road again, I really want to look for the stat when we get off the air. You know, if Mike McDaniel is going to lose 2 games in a row to 2 rookie head coaches, that is a massive, massive, massive problem. So, going to put a pin on that for a little bit.
Absolutely. Give me any last thoughts, Steve?
No, just there's a lot of perceptions out there. We would love that script to be flipped. Way too many mental mistakes not being said at the line. Mike McDaniel not learning his lesson with the complex play calling. So if you're going to insist on running pre-snap motion that's not fooling anybody anymore other than your own players, you need to stop trying to do it. Top 2 wide receiver unit in the entire league last year should not be dropping passes. You get those opportunities, you shouldn't be dropping it. By God, you see that ball hit the turf, don't go making a business decision and just quit on it, because that was a turnover, giving the defense a short field that I think turned into 3 points. We just want to see a turnaround, and if it's not going to happen, it's going to be a lot longer time. Sherry, I'll let you get the last word here. Go for it.
No, I was agreeing with you. You said they have to make those catches. It's Waddle. It's Kill. I mean, these guys are at the top of their game, and they're dropping things in their hands. And I believe that isn't physical. I believe that's mental. I think this is in their heads, and they've got to find a way to fight through this and come together as a team. No matter who's behind center, it's difficult. I get it, but they have to get their heads back in the game, because I don't think they are.
Absolutely.
Thanks for watching Fins TV. Please like and subscribe.
Miami Dolphins #1. Miami Dolphins. Miami Dolphins. Miami Dolphins #1.
See you next week. Fins up.